I've come to Oregon. I don't know. I don't like the looks of the weather. There's big rain clouds over there. I'm in the middle of the Oregon forest here. I'm just by this. So many trees, so many pine trees and brush. It's getting a bit thick. Now, they told me this is the place to look. So many pine cones. The place that I can look for Bigfoot. If the Bigfoot's anywhere, it's going to be in this heavily wooded area. I'm just near a crop of rocks, trying to make my way through. This little stand of rocks over there in the distance. I'm just hiding down, looking down behind. It's very windy now. I can't quite... that wind is cold. I can't quite see clearly through the trees. I think I can't quite... What's that? What's that? There's something in the distance using a log to whack a tree. What the hell? Uh-oh. Now I'm actually crouched down behind the tree now. I can't quite see what's going on. It's coming. Something coming towards me. I've got to be very quiet. I can hear it. Can't quite see it. It's getting a bit dark. Wind. What the hell is that? That's giant. Good grief. I'm very quiet now. What the...
You're listening to Skeptoid. I'm Brian Dunning from Skeptoid.com.
Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yes, it's the Skeptic Zone podcast, episode number 504 for the 17th of June 2018. Richard Saunders here with you, coming this week from Bend in the state of Oregon. My first time in this part of the world, and it is just beautiful. Lovely countryside, pine trees, rolling hills with mountains in the background, snow-capped mountains, and the little city of Bend, town of Bend is just wonderful. Breweries everywhere. I'm here as the guest of my good friend Brian Dunning, and Monday night here in Oregon, in Bend, I'll be giving a talk about being a TV skeptic and testing paranormal claims, and we'll even have a water divining demonstration. If you are in the area, or if you know somebody who lives in Oregon and could possibly make it to the Bend area on Monday night, direct them to skepticzone.tv for the link. It's going to be at Pappy's Pizzeria Monday night, and if you can come along, I'd really look forward to seeing you. But what's coming up on this week's show? Well, as you already heard, we sort of went looking for Bigfoot, but I only found Brian Dunning tromping through the forest. Later on, Brian and I will visit a lava tube cave and explore that. Brian's going to tell us about his latest film, Science Friction, what that's all about, and more about Bigfoot, well, the possibility of Bigfoot in the general area. But before that, we have an interview with Yvette, also known as the SciBabe, and her interest at the moment is all about food myths. She was a speaker at Skeptical in Berkeley, and I was very lucky enough to also be part of the fun of Skeptical, the one-day skeptical conference, and it was just terrific. Top-line speakers, well-attended, well-spaced through the day. People had plenty of time to talk to speakers and other skeptics. Congratulations to the organisers of Skeptical, and if you have the chance to go to Skeptical in 2019, I can really recommend it. It's just a really good one-day skeptical conference. After my interview with the SciBabe, I bring you a report from the local Skeptics in the pub, which was held the night before Skeptical, where I run into my old friend Susan Gerbic from Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia. And I hope this gives you a little flavour, a little idea of what fun Skeptics in the pub can be. Normally on the Skeptic Zone, you hear from Sydney Skeptics in the pub with Maynard running around. Well, Skeptics in the pub in Berkeley was just as much fun. Lots of good company, nice people to meet, and I can really recommend it. Skeptics in the pub is a good social opportunity and a good chance to meet other skeptics. Now I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Sharon Hill, who travelled all the way to Australia to attend Paracon, Australia's paranormal conference, only to have, sadly, with days to go, the conference cancelled. Very disappointing for all concerned, I'm sure. Sorry about that, Sharon. I'm sorry that happened to you and everybody who was looking forward to Paracon. I know Maynard was particularly looking forward to going there and interviewing lots of interesting people to bring it to you for the Skeptic Zone. However, due to, and this is no joke, as reported on one website of ghost hunters, they said, unfortunately, the Paracon Australia event has been cancelled due to unforeseen circumstances. Yes, I know that's an old joke about psychics cancelling their convention. Nevertheless, not a good thing, really, not a good thing. I think it would have been good for skeptics and other people to go along to that to see what the believers had to say. Well, now it's time for me to run downstairs, run out the door, drive to one of the local craft breweries, enjoy a quick pint of Pilsner or one of the local brews, race back in time for the rest of the Skeptic Zone. Everything is killing you. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, folks, but everything, apparently, is killing you. I'm with Yvette Dotemont, also known as the SciBabe. Hello.
Hello, and thank you for having me on your phone with a microphone on it.
It's a phone with a microphone.
We're having this chat right outside of the conference we're at, so it's a phone with a fuzzy little microphone on it, and I'm enjoying this.
It's my field microphone, which is my phone.
I was going to say, as I couldn't be in Australia for this works out.
It does. We are literally on the sidewalk here outside Skeptical.
And we're in lovely Berkeley, California.
Yeah.
It's as I like to call it, just as expensive as San Francisco, Oakland. It's the expensive little part of the neighborhood. So we're loaded with kale here. Loaded with kale, prebiotics, and kombucha. That's Berkeley for you.
Well, that reminds me, and I've made some notes about your talk here. Look at this list of notes. We've got coconuts, detox, and you talked about kale, salmon, GMOs, goji berries, chia seeds, avocados. You cover a lot of things in your talk, and you tell us how
they're all killing you.
They're all killing you, or they're the best things you can possibly have, right?
And here's the thing about, and the talk was called Everything is Killing You, a Marketing Guide to Bad Science. And normally I teach people how to debunk. And today I kind of flipped that on its head, and I went as earnest as possible while telling people, I'm going to teach you the secrets of all of the people who sell the things that we don't approve of, or it was a very fun, different take on the type of stuff that I normally talk about. Like, at first I took all of the superfoods and showed, they're wonderful. If you take kale and sprinkle it on cancer, it'll kill the cancer. and then talked about how and then flipped it and was like, but are you sure kale is good for you? Kale can cause hypothyroid. Just went through all of this with kale, with chia seeds. Chia seeds can clog your esophagus. This is sent a man to the hospital. Goji berries, same amount of sugar. Same amount of sugar as in a Starburst.
Isn't that interesting?
Which made me realize Starbursts are a health food.
Now, for our international audience, especially in Australia, I don't know if we have them. It's a little square candy, isn't it? Little
square candy wrappers, like tiny little paper wrappers going everywhere.
Because I know that goji berries have been a fad in Australia for a while.
I would say that, if you don't have Starburst, I could have sworn that I bought Starburst when I was
you might have. I mean, I'm sure people know what we mean when we say a little lolly or a little candy.
Yeah, it's like if you look at 100 grams of, say, Skittles, because they're very similar calorically, 100 grams of Skittles will have about the same amount of sugar as 100 grams of those dried goji berries they're tasty.
That's what you said in your talk, but they taste great, right?
They taste great. They do have a lot of vitamins in them, but, they're not calorie free. Just because they have vitamins doesn't mean that they're not going to eventually add up. We have to remember that.
Where did this term superfoods come from, and what? And is this some marketing genius thought this one up?
I'm not sure if I would call David Avocado Wolf a genius.
He came up with that?
I don't know if he came up with it. I think the original source might have been, and as I like to tell people, please fact check me, because
including somebody in the audience who said that too.
Oh yes, it's like, let's fact check. I think it might have started up with Prevention Magazine, because they are a really good source. They're not source. Let me revisit. They're not a good source. They are a good like ground zero of a lot of BS. So it might have been with Prevention, but one of the bigger popularizers of it was David Avocado Wolf, who presented himself as an expert on superfoods and tried saying, if you want to live a long time, and he talks about being a longevity expert, and if you want to live that long life, you have to eat a lot of superfoods that are not defined by science at all. There's no cutoff for amount of nutrient per calorie that makes something a superfood. It's just like, I've seen an apple defined as a superfood in a list, and an oatmeal defined. It's like, depending on the list, different foods are on there. There is no caloric definition. There's no vitamin content definition. There's no definition by what food group, by if it's vegan or not.
Anybody can call something a superfood, right? So, this is a superfood, as certified by internet blogger. By internet blogger.
By mom of, I don't want to accidentally name of something that is a mommy blogger, but by mommy blogger, of Madison Rainbow.
But when the average person on the net or buying something or concerned about their health hears something like XYZ berry, and it's a superfood. I'll get that. It's a superfood. Yeah.
It allows, because suddenly the demand goes up for it, it prompts, I don't know if it allows, but it does in a lot of cases prompt retailers to up the prices, because suddenly the demand is higher. So why wouldn't you charge a little bit more? I mean, we've seen the cost of kale go up quite a bit, I believe by 30% in the last couple of years, and it's gone up quite a bit more than the cost of inflation, is because kale, like I said, sprinkle it on cancer, it's going to get rid of your cancer.
And was turmeric big here too?
Oh yeah, turmeric is, it's definitely become a thing that people are, I forgot to put turmeric in my talk. I'm adding that in for next time. But turmeric is...
where do you end, right? But that's big back in Australia.
It is definitely getting big here too. I know somebody who and this is probably why he's still a little I know somebody who was in a crazy, horrible car accident who afterwards decided to treat it with large amounts of turmeric and marijuana. And he, it sounds like he had a great time. I'm not going to tell you not to take a ton of pot when you're in miserable pain, and you don't have to drive anywhere. But it's not going to cure a brain bleed, and let me rephrase this. At this point, we have no evidence that says these things cure brain bleeds, and really, it's really unfortunate that this person has not fully healed, because he took this evidence, or he took this scant evidence as proof that this worked, and it was because he was very distrustful of modern medicine. So, that's really why we do the types of things we do, is because we see people getting hurt by false hope and by empty promises and by fear, really, a lot of fear of the modern medical system. And the modern medical system screws up. It would be silly to deny that, but looking at the amount of screw-ups versus the amount of people they save, and then comparing that to alternative medicine and the amount of screw-ups versus the amount of people alternative medicine saves, we have a much better record of saving people with the stuff from Pfizer. That's not an endorsement of Pfizer, just to clarify.
And I agree with you entirely. We're not promoting a certain drug company or anything like that. We're just saying that the scientific approach has a better track record.
Oh yeah,
not perfect, but better.
it's a good way to extract information. There are a couple different ways that I've seen it fail. One is we're always trying to figure out a single variable in science, and sometimes it's hard to, in things like nutrition, it's hard to figure out which variable is hitting the mouse trap and making the maze go forward. But it's like that's I think the hardest part in nutrition studies, because that's one of the things I write about a lot, is sussing out which one variable is causing either the disease or the weight gain or the whatever you're trying to define or scare people about if you're using bad medicine.
Yeah.
And that's kind of not one of the failings of the scientific process, but there's one of the difficulties is making sure that you're doing that the experimental design is accurate. And when there have been people who have put out, shall we say, less than reputable studies like Seralini for GMOs, and the occasional study that says this is the only nutrient that's causing you to gain weight, there generally tend to be variables missing, or the studies were designed to show what people wanted them to show, and they haven't been able to be replicated. So we need to look at studies that can be replicated. We need to look for biases in our work, and that's kind of a way to keep making science better on an ongoing basis.
Well, this point you bring up about scaring people, it came up again and again during your talk.
Oh, yeah.
Because all the memes you came up are scary. They're horrifying. And you mentioned GMOs, and I think that's one of the biggest ones people put up scares about. And also you talked about Diet Coke and even ice water.
There is nothing that I was really surprised at all the different things that I found online telling me that different types of water were killing you. That was the biggest surprise while I was researching this. I didn't expect so many different instructions on what type of water was killing you. Like, it was, you can't drink cold water, can't drink hot water, can't drink water with a meal, can't drink water first thing in the morning, can't drink water late at night, can't drink hot water straight from the tap, can't drink cold water. I was like, so we're basically down to organic gin and cigarettes. That's all you have left. But there is this thing where, say you hear, and I think this is how a lot of bad information spreads. Say you hear, from one of your friends on the internet, or you get that forward from Aunt Gail. It's always someone's Aunt Gail. It's never anything but Aunt Gail. Why does everyone have an Aunt Gail? But somehow you get that forward from Aunt Gail saying, X, Y, or Z is killing you. I heard it from my hairdresser, and it's like, it's a forward from the 1994. It's that Diet Coke causes MS, or that an onion in your sock cures the flu, you've seen these. I know you have, and it shows up on my timeline from friends of mine that I consider smart, and they are smart. It's just they're trying to make sure they're healthy, and they got sent this by someone who they have no reason to think would send them bad information.
One catchy meme, especially if it's well done and it looks professional, and you pointed to one on the screen where it had little dots in the water, wasn't it? Something like that?
Oh, yeah. It was just here. This was a meme from a company saying the bottled water scam. Now,
bottled water, yes.
Now, I don't think that bottled water is a thing that you should, buy if you have a regular source of potable, clean water. But man, if you're living in Flint, Michigan, buy yourself all the damn bottled water you can possibly get. But the thing is, this slide was trying to say, if it's been stored at above this temperature, it's bad for you. And, it had, they have ways with these memes of kind of manipulating your perception of something. And you're not going to go, well, you are, because you're Richard Saunders. You're a good skeptic. But you, okay, again, not you, the general listeners, because you are also good skeptics. But the grand you, they are not going to check this thing, because there was an image on this with a magnifying glass held up to the bottle of water, and it showed these 3 circles that were supposed to be mystical particles of death.
Yes.
And
what were they? Right?
And I don't even know what it was trying to say they were, but apparently those particles are in that water and it's killing you. But if you're looking for information, I do this in a lot of my talks. I tell people, it's really easy to find bad health information if you're looking for good health information. And I'll tell people, since you've already so nicely taken your cell phones and put them away and turn them off, please take them back out and turn them back on. And, Google GMOs good, Google GMOs bad, Google GMOs chemical, Google GMOs agriculture, and see how the searches change. And this is kind of good news. Once upon a time, when you just Googled GMOs, 8 out of of 10 of the top search results were negative, and now over time, more of the top 10 search results are positive.
That's interesting.
And I think it's been a lot of, the efforts from a lot of different skeptic groups, from different writers, from science-based medicine.
Bill Nye.
From Bill Nye changing his mind, and I think that might have helped a lot of people. I hope it did. But, there's been such a concerted effort from a lot of different media sources, from a lot of different science writers, to try to get the word out that these are safe. And I love the conspiracy theories that were being paid off by Monsanto. When I have a COI, I have every place that's ever paid me since I've been working at SciBabe listed on my website. I'm like, go ahead and try to tell me that, when I will admit to everywhere else that's paid me, I'm lying about Monsanto just so I can promote GMOs.
Yeah,
it's the whole reason.
Yeah.
But people get very sensitive about this one. Yeah, it's because there are so many rumors, and I think it goes back to the old Arthur C. Clarke quote: "Any new technology is indistinguishable from magic."
Yes,
I know I just mangled that quote.
I know, and I'm sure everybody knows that quote.
Yeah, and
to primitive society, any technology is indistinguishable from magic, or along those lines. We know what you mean.
And I mean, there was kind of a very similar Douglas Adams quote that again will mangle. It's like, anything that was made before you were born or until you're 35 is perfectly fine. Anything that's made after you're 35 is suspect and must be snuffed out. And it's not, there's some wiggle room on that, but it's kind of true. Like, we're seeing millennials turn into that age where we're like, get off my lawn with your new technology. And millennials are kind of, along with, like, everyone's kind of scared of GMOs, but this is the first technology that millennials haven't really embraced. Like, we're like, give me your iPhones that give the government access to my data. I don't care. It lets me pay for my movie tickets immediately. Give me the iPad. Give me everything that has new tech in it, but don't give farmers technology. And I mean, that's what amazes me is there's this one holdup on something that people will accept, and they're not getting their information from credible sources, and in a lot of cases they're stopping these GMO crops and some conventional crops from reaching people who could really use them. Yeah,
and stomping in some situations and ripping them out of the ground.
Oh yeah.
Now, it was a great talk, folks. If you get the chance to see Yvette in action, take it up, do it. Where can people find out more?
People can hunt me down at SciBabe.com, at Facebook.com/SciBabe, and I do my writing over at The Outline and at Self.com, where I'm a columnist. So please come hunt me down and listen to me ranting about bad science with occasional F-bombs all over the internet.
Yvette, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Kyle from the Data Skeptic podcast. If you're curious about the way data is changing our world, topics like AI and all this craziness with Facebook and bots and the Twitter storm and how the algorithms that underline that work, and you don't want a technical deep dive, you want it in the vernacular in a way that people can understand, check us out at Data Skeptic. That's what we try and do. I interview advanced professionals in the field who do this sort of research, and then I get into interesting projects as well. We're a weekly show, and you can find us at dataskeptic.com.
And folks, to set the scene here, we're in a large sort of beer garden of a restaurant in Berkeley, California. Night has come. There's some big, what are these called? Stork heaters. What do they call these things?
Space heaters.
Space heaters. They're heating the space for us. The lights have come on. And we're just having a wonderful social evening.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. This is the Skeptics in the Pub that we do right before the Skeptical. I think this is our 8th. How many is it? Ninth.
Or ninth.
Ninth. Oh,
yeah, wow. It's been really great. It's really been great. So this is about a 2-hour drive for me, but it's not that big a deal because, this is my local.
Of course, Richard Saunders here.
Oh, he bends over
My God.
What?
Hey, Richard! We don't love mustics, but keep them in Australia with their grandmas.
We love Australian skeptics because Australian skeptics rock.
Rock. Yes, we love the Australian skeptics.
Australian skeptics set a standard for other skeptics around the world, do they not?
Absolutely. I never, ever miss the Skeptic Zone, except that I see there's one on my phone right now and I haven't caught up with it. But I'm only a day out. I've got, it's only been there a day.
Thank you, and here's your payment. Susan Gerbic from Gorilla Skepticism on Wikipedia. Here we are at Skeptics in the Pub in Berkeley before Skeptical.
I am so excited you're here. I am absolutely just... I always come to Skeptical, but knowing you were here is like...
Well, I promise you folks, she's only excited because I brought a supply of Musk Lifesavers.
Absolutely not. We passed them around and people were putting them in their mouth and spitting them back out. Sorry, guys.
Shut your ears, Australian listeners.
I ate the whole thing. It was delicious.
You liked it?
I did. It was weird, but I liked it.
I'll bring you some more then.
Okay.
She can have them all. She's going to try the stick part. They're awful. Oh my gosh. It's like, I'm sorry, Australian people. I love you all, except mustics are disgusting. It's like somebody's, you know what it's like? It's like your grandmother died and you go into her medicine cabinet, like maybe years later, and you go in and you open up the medicine cabinet, it makes that creaking sound when you open up the medicine cabinet, and inside there's the little bottle, and it's like roses something, and it just is like leaking out. It's got like a cork on it. It's just delicious. Disgusting, and it just makes you want to just. That's what mustics taste like.
Now, Australian listeners, you too can have this fun and excitement if you come to the United States. Pack some mustics. I promise you, pack some mustics. Bring them out at parties. Eat one and say delicious Australian candy, and watch the faces of the Americans as they run for the bathroom to spit them out.
Well, we were trying to figure out why. Somebody asked me, they said, so wait, what, this is food? And I said, well, okay, think of it this way. Australia, they were in an island, and they're there on their island, and they don't know about like real candy, and they're there. and they're on their island, and they're just working with what they have. I mean, maybe it's ground up drop bears or something. I don't know, but it's just. I'm sorry, you guys. I love you all.
Okay, there will be some editing that takes place on this.
No, this is live.
Speaking of editing.
Yes.
Speaking of editing.
Yes.
How is the Gorilla Skepticism on Wikipedia going? And I understand there are some new editors which can be traced back to the Skeptic Zone.
Absolutely. We have just graduated a brand new editor, and he came to me from your podcast. You've done such a wonderful job trying to get our word out there, and actually, to be honest with you, some of the most editors I get are from Australia or from the Skeptic Zone. So you have an awful lot of people who are not Australian that listen to the Skeptic Zone, like myself, and I appreciate that. And the newest editor that we just had, oh my gosh, you would not believe what he did. His name is Kelly Eckersley, and he joined just about 6 months ago, and he rewrote the Wikipedia page for Paul McCready. And Paul McCready was the man who is an expert on gliders. He's unfortunately now no longer with us here on Earth. But Paul McCready was an amazing man who has more honors than you can imagine. His Wikipedia page is now amazing because of the editor.
We're just looking at it now as you're scrolling through it.
He is absolutely...
Wow, that's quite impressive.
He made I'm going to say this word wrong. Pterodactyl. Is that what it is called?
Pterodactyl.
And they used it for a video that it's areas. Petrosaur.
What the hell? I've heard David Attenborough say that word before, but I can't pronounce it.
Anyway, so this...
whatever.
Okay, well, anyway, he's an amazing man.
A flying ancient reptile.
This person that we wrote the Wikipedia, that Kelly rewrote the Wikipedia page for, invented a glider that will probably be something they can use on Mars when we finally get there.
Wow.
So fascinating people. But anyway, the GSOW project has just published its 624th Wikipedia page, and we've just hit 27,460 something page views.
Fantastic.
So from thank you.
Fantastic.
So 27 million page views so far from those 625 pages.
Now, the other people at our table are quite confused as why we burst into applause. We're talking about guerrilla skepticism on Wikipedia.
And how we're doing, yes. And
What about Wikipedia?
yeah.
Now, at the other end of the table, we have Kyle Polish, who actually wrote the statistics package for Guerrilla Skeptics.
Yes, Kyle Polish is here. He's an expert in AI, and he will be speaking at Skeptical tomorrow. And Kyle is the person who's, and Jay, actually, who's sitting across from me, who just talked to me, are the reason why I'm able to track my statistics. Because Jay told me years ago, hey, Susan, how do you know that GSOW is actually doing anything if you don't have any way of measuring your results? And I said, you know what, you're absolutely right, Jay Diamond, from the Bay Area Skeptics Board. And he said, you should have a way of tracking it. And I said, you know, I know this guy who has a podcast called Data Skeptics who might be able to help me out. And he wrote this software for me, and we're refining it. We call it Stat Badger, and that's the way we're able to do it. And Kyle is an expert on AI, and he's an expert on all these amazing things. So it's a teamwork. Even if they're not editors, people out there are doing amazing work to make this possible, to re-educate the world, all of the world, on science, scientific skepticism, and the paranormal in all known languages.
Can I get you a drink, Susan?
Actually, I haven't had anything to drink.
I see. Well, it's wonderful to know that podcasts are of some use after all.
Oh, my
really
gosh. You don't understand how useful you have been. It's wonderful, the support that you give to the community. I hear from people all the time that they are inspired by what you and the Skeptic Zone does. We all love Maynard, of course.
Yay!
And Northern Rivers vaccination
Supporters,
yeah. And all
Hi,
the stuff
Heidi.
you do. Yes, we love you guys all. So, you know, can't wait to get back to Australia and see you all.
We can't wait to see you. All right, so until tomorrow, when we'll be at Skeptical proper, thank you, everybody. Cheers. Yay.
Cheers.
Hi, I'm Darren McKee, one of the hosts of The Reality Check. Each week, my co-host and I explore a range of controversies and curiosities using science and critical thinking. You can find us on iTunes, your favorite podcasting platform, and on Facebook by searching for The Reality Check, or by following us on Twitter at @TRC_podcast. Until then, keep an open mind, but not so open your brain falls out.
This is Bigfoot Country, Brian, or sort of. I mean, is it, in Bend, Oregon, is there any reports of that, or is that other places?
There are. I was surprised to learn that Bend has its own little Bigfoot club, as a Bigfoot meetup group or something, and they actually had a Bigfoot conference of some kind here. About a couple of months ago. I was out of town, but I was sorely tempted to attend.
But folks, we really are. We've driven out of town, and we are in a wooded area with a rock outcrop, exactly as I explained. It's magical. It's a beautiful landscape, Brian. I find it magical. And I think we're just about to go to a lava cave. Is that right?
Yes. Central Oregon here is all volcanic, and this is all part of the lava flows from Newberry Crater, which is the big mountain off in the distance that way. And so all these rock outcroppings here, this is all lava rock, and
let's take a closer look.
Lava caves underneath us all over the place.
Let's take a closer look at this rock, and this is all from volcanic. Yeah. Oh, it's coming up. It's.
Well, that rock took millions of years to get there, and you just ruined it.
I just ruined it, but we can look underneath. Look at that. That's lava, right?
Yep.
Wow, ancient lava. Well, this straw, these twigs, Pine needles. Thank you. Go all the way down. Look at that. Anyway. Onward to our next adventure. We'll look for Bigfoot in the lava cave. The hunt for Bigfoot goes on. Brian and I have come to Boyd Cave, just down these steps now. And we're in it looks like something out of the Flintstones. It does. It looks like a cave out of the movies. If people think the word cave, that's what we're in.
Flintstones. I don't remember a lot of caves in the Flintstones.
No, you're probably right. Oh, and we have to turn on our flashlights here.
We want to go
over there.
That way or that way?
Is there something? Let's go this way. And the temperature drop within 20 feet or so down the stairs is remarkable. It's like we're being blasted from Arctic. Oh, wow. This really is like out of a movie. I wonder if they come here to film stuff.
I don't know.
It's about half the size of what you might think a train tunnel would be. Oh, no, a bit big.
Half the size, you think?
No, bigger, much bigger. Yeah, I was not seeing it properly. It's a bit dim in here.
And make sure you specify that this is a lava tube, not just...
Brian's reminding me this is actually a lava tube made from lava. When?
When? Oh, I'm not Andrew. I don't know that.
He doesn't know when, folks. He's a limited value. Wow. It goes on and on.
Flat, convenient walking.
Yeah. And it's getting very dark. Now, we've turned one corner and any trace of daylight has disappeared. In fact, if you turn off your flashlight, wow.
Pretty much.
Complete pitch black.
That's dark.
That's stunning. I hope these batteries don't give out. Further down we go. There was a sign at the entrance saying danger of rock falls, which gives me lots of confidence. It's freezing down here. It's so cold. I wouldn't want to huddle down here for warmth, I tell you. I
had to do this. We were in, not this one, but another one here. And the kids said, we want to go through that little hole in the wall.
Yeah.
And they were gone for over an hour. And I was just sitting there waiting. Because I wasn't going through that hole. I nearly died.
It's very cold now. The further down we go, I think we go over this way. Scrambling over some little rocks here. Yeah, it goes on and on. So it's remarkable to think, as you say, we're in something carved out by a lava flow. Who knows when? A long time ago, presumably. A very long time ago. And this system is going on and on. It doesn't branch off, though. It's one solid tube. Wow. This is really like something out of a dream or a nightmare, depending. I don't expect to see any Bigfoot coming the other way. I don't think so. Looking up at the ceiling, it's flaking there a little bit. You see that? It could fall off there. See that?
Give it a wiggle.
Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, through here.
Bigger and better than this one.
It's quite interesting because the further we go on, it's like a never-ending repeating tube with huge rocks in the middle and a sort of a walkway on the side where we are. And we can only see not so far ahead because of the way the cave is twisting and turning. But as soon as we get around another bend in the cave, it's the same thing again. It's bending and twisting and turning through the earth. Interesting experience, and you might think that I'm not very in good condition because I'm breathing quite a bit. It's partly because of the altitude.
Partly because you're just in terrible shape.
Yeah, as Brian says, I'm in terrible shape, but partly because we're actually about a kilometre up. So the air is a little thinner up here.
Yeah, that's just about right.
I can see some lights ahead. Way in the distance now, this cave is straightening out a little bit. I just saw a light. So I suspect there's some more people wandering around down here.
Oh, a whole bunch.
Yeah. Scrambling over rocks now.
Going the difficult way unnecessarily?
I don't know. There's no easy way at the moment. I'm sort of stuck scrambling over these rocks. I've got to be careful here now. I'm stuck. Oh, over here. On this side. Got to watch it. The cave's getting low here. Oh, right. And down I go. We've discovered the lost tribe, I think, Brian.
On a whole society of cave people.
Yeah!
We're emerging. Where's my club?
Where's my club?
Okay, I'm club.
3 generations of kids right there.
We're going to find some food supplies down here somewhere. Okay. Oh. This might be a good spot to stop, Brian. And, yeah, we don't need our flashlights at the moment. We'll save a bit of power.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, hello. At the end of the line?
No. It keeps on going.
Yeah. It's just in the middle of it, you're fine.
There's still quite a bit. Yeah.
The rocks are very loose as we walk along. What's this? We've come across some sort of feature.
This one looks a little bit unnerving there.
Very low-hanging bit of the ceiling here, which looks like it could disintegrate. And again, it's just cold. It's so cold down here. Oh, okay. We're not going down there.
Are you cold to the point you want to...
No, but I'm not going down there because
All right, fair enough.
I'm not dressed for it.
Yeah.
Step back here. And I'm going to be careful because I'm going to hit my head unless I get to scramble down these rocks. Oh! And I'm not...
Because that otherwise would have taken a large piece of skin out of the top of my head.
I'm not helping myself. I've got a flashlight in one hand and a microphone in the other. It does.
I've got a flashlight in one hand and the other in my pocket for warmth.
Yeah. So this might be a good spot for us to catch our breath for a moment, Brian. And you can tell me the progress of your next feature film, or your first feature film?
Science Friction.
Science Friction.
Feature documentary film intended for a limited theatrical release. It's about scientists who have been misrepresented, quote-mined, edited out of context to make it sound like they're supporting some sort of woo pseudoscience, as we see on these sensationalist kind of pseudo-documentaries from TV's science channels.
Yeah.
Now, this happens to virtually every scientist who has been on any of these shows. They often are very frustrated by it. They don't find out about it until afterwards. And the networks do this basically because it's a cheap and easy way to make a sensational program.
Yeah, well, I've had some limited experience with that myself, being interviewed on Australian TV from time to time. And you can talk for 5 or 10 minutes and they'll cut out the bit where you say, yeah, I don't think it was real.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I just did a thing with, out of the blue, some guy emailed me from Russian television, and he wanted me to talk about Nostradamus.
Oh, yeah.
And he wanted me to tell the story. He was practically feeding me the lines. He wanted me to tell the story of how Nostradamus was walking along, and he came upon a priest and suddenly dropped to his knees and worshipped him, and that priest later became the Pope. And it's because Nostradamus was prophesying that this guy was going to be the Pope. So I had heard that story, but there's no evidence that anything like that ever happened. And it's really just the invention of 20th century pulp fiction authors. So he wanted me to tell this story and present myself as if I'm the Nostradamus expert, and to make it sound like this is incontrovertible proof that Nostradamus was a prophet. And we were just doing this, since he was in Russia, we were just doing this over Skype. And so I set up a little hidden camera. Well, not hidden, just out of the view of my laptop's camera, and filmed the entire exchange. And at one point I did tell the story, and I kind of left him some nice editing points on either end of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I prefaced the story with this didn't happen for real, but the legend is blah.
Yeah.
And then the end of it I said the same thing, but there's no evidence that this ever happened. It's just become part of the part of the story that was added by modern writers. So if I ever hear back from him, and if this ever gets it into the Russian TV show, we've got a nice little sting that we're going to show in the film as an example of exactly how this kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
Because, many, especially younger scientists, they get out there and they get a little bit of notoriety. These TV shows want to have them on. Everyone says, hey, that's a great way to advance my career, to show myself to the public as a science communicator, someone who's going places and is on TV, and it bites them in the ass more often than not. So we think that this is a bad thing. We think it does the public a disservice. We think it does the science a disservice. And we think that more people need to know that these shows are not necessarily giving you the truth, and that they're willing to go to great lengths to distort the truth to promote this sensationalist agenda.
To get more viewers from their point of view, of course, that sort of thing would sell more than a what would you dare say, a dry scientific explanation.
Yeah. So we're going to give these scientists a chance to clear the record. We're going to have them tell us what happened, show the clip, see how it went down. And it's we're actually crowdfunding the initial production. The reason for that being that this is not something that any of the networks want to fund. Obviously, I've already suffered a bit of backlash from that. So it's at sciencefriction.tv where people can see the promo reel. We've got a little trailer for the film. We talk about it. We show some of the experts. We tell some of the stories that are going to be featured in the film. Sciencefriction.tv. We've got lots of nice little rewards for the people who choose to help donate and support the production. All the way up to large donors can get a executive producer credit for the film, which is a real credit, which is going to be in the theaters, and you get it on IMDb.
Uh-huh.
So if anyone's interested in buying their way into the film industry, this is an easy way to do it.
All right, folks, links on this week's show notes. I look forward to when it's finally out. Is there a time frame?
We're going into full production starting in August here, 2018. It probably is going to take a year. These things go slowly. The nature of documentaries are, kind of the direction, the next thing you're going to film is suggested by the thing you're filming today. So it's hard to put an end cap on it. But we've already got about 30 hours worth of footage that we've already shot. And it's going to be a great, great movie. It is just some really horrifying examples of people being taken out of context.
Wow, looking forward to it. Now, folks, this is an odd situation. We've both turned off our flashlights because we're just standing here in the middle of a cave. And as we said before, there is no light apart from the small amount of light given off by the interface on my microphone. I can't really turn that off, but if I sort of do that, point it away from us. And now we've got the dimmest of dim light. So it's like listening to an episode of our podcast. We can't see anything, but we can hear voices.
We are having an audio-only conversation.
We are. Okay, I'll turn on the light now. Oh!
Whoa! Whoa, hey, this is a different cave.
This is Heidi Robertson from the Northern Rivers Vaccination Supporters. We are a group of concerned citizens dedicated to promoting good science and common sense in our region, the far north coast of New South Wales. This area, famous for its natural beauty and relaxed lifestyle, also has the lowest rates of vaccination in Australia. We are out to change that by challenging the myths and misinformation and by providing good evidence-based information to the community. We'd love for you, no matter where you are in the world, to join our fight. Please visit our webpage at www.nrvs.info. We also have a link there to our Facebook page. Tweet us at NRVaxSupporters, that's VAX, and check us out on Wikipedia by searching for Northern Rivers Vaccination Supporters. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone. A fun episode this week, I think. A very different episode. I really did enjoy tromping through the lava cave, with Brian Dunning. It was so interesting and pitch black. Incredible. Very, very interesting what it does to the senses. And cold. Wow, was it cold down there. If you have a chance, it was called Boyd Cave. If you have a chance to check out a lava tube cave, it's a good adventure. Coming up on next week's show, maybe some interviews from my talk here, from some of the attendees from my talk here in Bend, Oregon, at Pappy's Pizzeria in a couple of days' time, Monday night here in Oregon. And maybe I can convince one of my reporters to send me a report, because I'll be traveling midweek. I'll be jumping on that airplane once more, heading back to Australia, where I lose a day due to the international dateline. I leave on one day but arrive the day after tomorrow. I miss a day. It's very strange. It's very strange. And then I'll be all jet-lagged again. But until next week, where I'll be reporting from Sydney, Australia, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Bend, Oregon.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Please visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for show notes, contacts, and to access the back catalogue of episodes going back to 2008. You can follow the Skeptic Zone podcast on Twitter at Skeptic Zone, visit our Facebook page, or leave a review on iTunes. You can also support the Skeptic Zone via Patreon or PayPal. The Skeptic Zone podcast is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed on the Skeptic Zone are not necessarily those of Australian Skeptics or any other skeptical organisation.
Right way through. What's that? Boy, there goes the magic.
You want to flag me when you want me to hit this? Or?
Is it? All right, now you've got to come.
What?
You've got to make your way noisily towards me. When you get close, you say, "This is Brian Dunning." Right?
Oh, okay.
Okay. I don't know what that is. Damn it! Go back. Go back, Bigfoot. Go back. All right. One more whack of the thing. I'm actually crouched down behind. What the?
You're listening to Skeptoid. I'm Brian Dunning from Skeptoid.com.
That's the worst Bigfoot I've ever seen in my life, I tell you what.